Welcome to the Hot Rod Hangout Podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Ashley.
And tonight we got a special guest in the house, Mike Rioux with Mike Rioux Photography. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. What's going on with you guys?
Oh, just living a dream. So, what got you into the car obsession?
So, been into cars basically as long as I can remember. My dad grew up in the 60s and 70s as an old school street racer. He used to laugh. He grew up in Miami, cruise around listening to Mario Lanza, if that means anything to anybody. Old school golden era singer, and he used to laugh, so he'd sit there and burn the tires up while listening to some Frank Sinatra listening guy.
Okay. I got Frank Sinatra. So what made you, we talked a little bit, but what made you go to the photography side?
So again, like being in cars for quite a while, and then with school, life kind of gets in the way of a lot of things. It kind of went away for a little while, and then met my wife. Wife and I have been together for about 20 years at this point, and she needed to have some social media content done for some work that she was doing with another retailer at the time. And she asked if I would take the pictures. And I was like, sure. I've never done it before in my life, never had an interest before in my life. So, but yeah, why not? Let's start now. We had an old, like a Canon Rebel T6, something like that we had gotten a long time ago for some family pictures that we had done, and took it out, put that thing on auto and started snapping away. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a photographer now. So that was great. Those pictures came out. They're not exactly my best, but hey, everybody starts somewhere. And, basically use it as an outlet to kind of get back into the car scene. So we have a couple cars, and they've been in the garage literally since I was in high school. Terrorized the streets, when I was a teenager in my early 20s, and then they kind of sat around for a while after that. But it kind of gave me the excuse to get back into them, get them running, get them out and going. And then also to just really get back into the car scene, start meeting some folks again. It was cool because I got to see a lot of the people that I'd grown up with. Some of them, it was weird. They all kind of had a similar break away from cars, but they were kind of coming back out too.
Yeah, that's common because I think it was around my dad had we built the little small tire S10, and then he went back to working late, so we didn't really race it. And I figured out what girls were, so I kind of lost interest. And then, the car got sold, and as it's leaving, I'm like, oh, I should have paid more attention. But then I was out of cars. I mean, we went to car shows and stuff like that, but it wasn't like real deep until 23 when we come here and got Michelangelo. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I feel like that's kind of like a common
yeah.
You like I still had cool cars. Like I had a C10 in high school, but like you kind of like fall off, and then like, oh, maybe I should get back into cars.
Yeah. I mean, because like when I was first in it, like high school and college and things like that, almost every night there was an excuse to go out and either hang out in a parking lot, go to a race, go do some street racing, go find something car related to get into. Yeah. And then it goes to, all right, well, just this weekend. And then it's every other weekend. And then it just kind of progresses from there.
Well, and you got to find that balance because like we had to do that last year because we went to 22 shows in 8 weeks getting ready for our show.
You guys were busy.
And it's like 2-3 car shows a weekend trying to like the last final push of our show. And it was kind of like, I don't even really want to go because it turns into work.
You figure out how, like, you find out real quick, like how easy it is to get burned out on something.
Yeah. So it was legit us. And it was just trying to, I want this to be successful, so I'm pushing. But then you're like, I just want to go to a car show and not be Matt from the Hot Rod Hangout. Yeah. I just want to be Matt, the guy that's pulled in a 54 that's rustier than everybody else's, and like hear stories and talk and not have to be so, hey, you should listen to my podcast, or hey, tell me your story.
Promotion,
and it's like
worried about creating content.
So it's kind of it's a balance. And, even this last turkey rod run, I had the GoPro in my pocket. I didn't film a single thing on it. She took it a couple of times to go do like a wraparound video, but she shot some photos. We BS'd. And like I was talking about, I pulled my phone out and shot a couple cool cars rolling by and just immediate post, like not even
no thought.
This is what we're doing, like come hang out, but nothing really, because it gets to a point where you're just like, the reason that I love going is no longer a thing, because you're focused on like, and I have a buddy like, oh, did you see that car? And I'm like, no, where's it at? And I literally walked by it, but I had my eyes locked on that guy was puffing on his car. So I got to go talk to him, and then I'll circle back. And you never circle back.
No. So, you never circle back. You forget about it. You get caught up in other conversations. There's a big Cars and Coffee event in Jacksonville that we worked with a lot called Caffeine and Octane. And I regularly 600, 700, 800 cars. They've maxed out over 1,000 cars at a monthly Cars and Coffee style event. And when I was first into photography, I would probably take several hundred photos every month. Yeah. And now when we go back up and we go visit friends and things like that, I'm lucky if I take maybe 10. Yeah. Just because like I've gotten to the point, just like you said, I would rather go talk to the people I want to go see friends. If I see a cool car, I may take 20 or 30 minutes and I'm going to chop it up with the owner and talk about the car. Yeah. I'm not worried about, let's make sure, hold on, let's get a camera over here. Let's make sure I have a mic over here, those types of things.
Well, and also like, and I don't know about that one specifically, but like I know our cruising, like the first month you take a picture of every car. The second month it's the same guys and they may add like 2 cars. Yeah. So it's like, I don't need to go take 200 pictures at a local car show that's around here because I took a picture of your car yesterday, at the Big Lots car show or, and that was when we were doing our show. That was, are you going to have top 30 trophies? I'm like, no. Why not? Because you won't win. Like, I've seen your car. Nothing has changed. And there's 8 Mustangs parked there, and the only difference is your car's red, his car's blue. You got center lines, he's got spokes. I'm like, there's not a variable, and it gets kind of mundane. And like our best to show this year was a 53 Meadowbrook with a Cummins swap. Yeah, that we did live on.
Yeah, I caught that episode. Yeah, that was great.
And it was like, and when we left New Year's Day. The motor was sitting in the car, and he built some engine mounts, and it drove across the show field. They trailered it up, but she pulled a shoestring as a throttle pedal and cruised it across the show field with a, it still doesn't have a intake tube. The turbo's spinning and it's rolling black, but there's nothing going to the intake side.
Nothing connected. Yeah.
And it does a good burnout because he did that coming from the Webster show. They got a throttle pedal in it, and nice. He stops and and it's no suspension because we said it was too high. So he took all the springs out of the front, so it's sitting on bump stops, and just flipped the shackles over, and now the shackles catch on everything before.
That takes me back to like the old school ways of like, hey, can I afford the suspension? Nope. Let's just take some of the suspension out.
Yeah. And and they're literally, he strives on like 4-day car builds. Like he would rather you give him 4 days to do something than like 4 months. Cause like from the church car show where we pushed it and it didn't have a motor to our show was probably 4 months. Nothing got accomplished till 4 days before.
I mean, there's nothing. So I laugh because that speaks to the procrastinator in me. Yeah. I mean, I'm the one where like, you in school, you knew the science project was due for months, and now you're a week out and you're like, I should probably start this.
Yeah. And like, same thing. 2 or 3 months later, we have a car show local, and he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to throw a throttle pedal on it. Well, car show Saturday, he's talking about trying to figure out how to modify a throttle pedal to fit, and literally like just tacked it to the bell housing of the automatic transmission the Monday before the show. And it's like, cool.
Hey, it works.
And it drove.
Yeah. I mean, it may not be the final solution, but it works.
No. And she eventually wants to put a 5-speed behind it just because she wants a manual transmission in it. And I'm like, you didn't have to cut much trans tunnel. Like, if you don't put the manual in there, you should be fine. But she wants that. And I'm trying to get away from the manual transmission, not because I can't drive one, just because it's like you go places and you wear your left leg out.
Well, and if you're in any type of traffic.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, especially show traffic that we're all very much aware of.
Well, that was at Turkey this year. We had went and everybody that we were meeting was right out of the turn 4 tunnel. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, I'll just go through the turn 4 tunnel. Well, we got turned around and trying to make it to the tunnel. And the guy's like, where are you trying to go? And I'm like, the tunnel. And he's like, oh, you're funny. And I went, what do you mean? He goes, does it go up? And I went, no. He goes, you ain't making it. And I go, what do you mean? It scrapes on everything. Like, I know it scrapes. It's fine. He's like, no, you won't make it. So then we had to go back, and now we're sitting in line from International all the way to the gate 70.
Yep.
So by the end of it, like, you didn't really have to give it throttle. You just, like, eased off the clutch a little bit, and it just, like, chug, you move up 10 feet and stop.
Yep.
10 feet, stop. And we got in, and I was like, yeah, they told us we couldn't go through the tunnel. And he's like, no. He goes, I have to jump out, and my car's higher than yours. And I'm like, what do you mean jump? He goes, I have to sit at the bottom, wait for the guy at the top to clear it, and then I give it everything it's got, and then, and I'm like, oh. So he was right, and the guy's like, yeah, you can't.
Yeah, well, I want to say, yeah, the leaving the tunnel, especially coming up, it's a hump.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, you said you got a couple cars. So currently, what's the favorite car you own?
Well, obviously, I mean, you saw the Excursion. That's the newest member of the family. We needed something. We got a car hauler to pull the other couple cars. So I wanted something interesting, not new, something that would pull the trailer without a problem, everything else. So ended up with a giant turbo diesel Excursion. Love that thing. It's like driving a couch. My wife loves it. She loves driving it. She loves everything about it. So it's been fun. The couple of cars that have been with us the longest, the first is a 69 Volkswagen convertible. That's been in the family since 1972. Parents bought it in Asheville, North Carolina, and they laughed because it was one of the only cars that would get up and down the mountain when it was snowy and icy. It would just do circles around trucks.
A Beetle or a Gia?
Yeah, Beetle. Yeah.
Okay.
And because it was light, all the weight was on the drive wheels, and it would just scoot up the mountain without a problem. So we have that. And then I've got a 1991 Toyota MR2 Turbo. I bought it the day of my senior prom in high school. And I'll age myself a little bit, and it was 1999.
It's not bad. I graduated in 08.
Yeah. So it was 9
years.
I went from driving like a 4-door sedan to a mid-engine turboed car. And all in the course of like 12 hours of buying it that morning and then going to prom that night. And I immediately learned about things like snap oversteer and boost creep and all types of things.
Yes.
So, so that was trial by fire. But now, like I said, I've owned it for 2025, 26 years at this point. So, yeah.
It's cool to hang on to them.
Oh, yeah. And then, our other daily, kind of our camera chase car, we've got a 2019 Mini Cooper S. So we put our camera set up and jig on it and all that.
Very cool.
So yeah, we kind of run the gamut and all types of things.
I was going to say that's a wide, which I guess we're the same way. I mean, the jacked up diesel, and then the 50s car, and then the 29 car. So
and the bike,
and the bike now. Yeah, that's been posted, so I can say that now. So we're good. Unlimited budget. What car are you building?
So I'm a car snob when it comes. If you say unlimited budget, I'm going to give you, and it's going to be a very cliche answer because it was kind of the poster car for me growing up, and that'd be a Ferrari F40. I don't like the F50s. The Ferrari elitists can suck it, but I like the F40.
Yeah, I think most car kids had a Ferrari poster.
Yeah. Now, as far as like if I was to build, let's say like a custom, like I'm looking for a build, I've always wanted like 64 Impala SS convertible, like old school, like Dayton's. What we talked about earlier, hydraulics. I want juice. I don't want air. Like I would love just a classic lowrider build.
Did y'all see the lowriders leaving Turkey year before last in the rain?
Did not.
Dude, these cars were absolutely beautiful, engraved. Everything's engraved, convertibles, and it started sprinkling. And I was like, oh, man, those guys have got to be. And we're like, and then it started sprinkling a little harder. So, like, we start making our way to the truck, and all of a sudden you hear music. And you're like, what? You look over. All of them still had their tops down, and they're hopping down the road in the rain, and they're just having a blast. Epic. And I'm like, well, you can't say they don't drive their shit in all weather. The next day, every single one of them polished back up again, and it's like, that's the love. And it's cool to see, like, Turkey specifically. Like, if you go to Turkey and you can't find a car you like there,
oh, absolutely,
you should not go, because there is everything from cool vintage, British cars to rat rods of all sorts to traditional hot rods to, we seen a mega truck last year, cruising around on 40s and 2.5 tons and crab walking through the roads and big wheel, donk cars, which I might get flamed for that because I think I posted that as a donk and somebody immediately was like, it's not a donk. It's just a big wheel car. And I'm like, I don't know the ins and outs, but okay. So speaking of shows, what's a show or event you try to make every year?
It's so weird because, so with the photography, the way that's kind of gone at this point, most of the shows that we make an effort to get to, it's because we're being paid to be there at this point. So we've done... That's
always better.
Yeah, no, because like we talked about earlier, like now all of a sudden shows have become work. Whereas, for instance, the Amelia Island Concours up in Jacksonville, we go to it pretty frequently, but oftentimes it's there because we're contracted to be there for a certain thing. So we're either with one of the auction houses, or we're doing like some pre-show walkarounds, or they'll do a parade of all the winning cars, and you're literally standing on a ladder for an hour and a half as the cars are coming by. It's like snap, snap, next, snap, snap, next. Yeah. So it's kind of tough. Like shows that we've actually gone to though, Slam Fest we've been to in Tampa recently, and we just went to go. I took my camera, and the first year I went to it, probably took a couple hundred photos. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like I hadn't been around a show like that in a while just to go. And so we went to it. And then the second year we went, I took my camera, but I think I took like maybe 5 or 10 pictures. And other than that, like was just walking around, talk, like we talked about, chop it up with the owners, talk to people, seeing some old friends I hadn't seen in a while. So that was really, really fun. In regards to like some shows I'd really like to get to, Cruising the Coast. Haven't been to it yet, which is weird because we have family there. Like we could, that are 2 blocks off of 90. Like we could stay at their house, walk over with some lawn chairs, and like we'd be in the thick of it. The other one that just happened up in Tennessee,
LST.
That's one.
Or Dino's.
Dino's
is coming up.
Yeah. I can't think of it off the top of my head now. But yeah, and then I would love to just get to some out of town shows and just see some different scenery, like either some stuff up in like the Smokies or on the West Coast. I know there's just all this time I've never been to SEMA. I'd love to get out to SEMA. So yeah, I mean there's a lot of different things.
I feel like SEMA is like Daytona Bike Week. Like if you ride a motorcycle, you have to go once. Might never go back, but you have to experience SEMA, and we haven't. And I'm excited to get out there eventually. Probably not this year with everything else.
Yeah, no, there's a ton going on. I would love to I would like to get a group of Florida Southeast folks, like all who have never been, and all kind of do a rookie trip to SEMA and just kind of hit it up and experience what we can.
Working on something pretty cool that we may end up there, but that's not yet. But yeah, so I guess I can break the news that we're not going to Canada. Not going to Canada, but 15 days of straight automotive car content cruising from Plains, Montana, all the way down to the South California, through the redwoods, camping for 15 days in a vintage car and a vintage camper.
Are you flying to?
So I'm flying to Montana.
Okay.
I'm a co-driver.
Okay.
For Bad Idea Customs. Coolest name for a business ever. And then getting in the car with him, and we're ending up at Santa Monica, California, for the West Coast Customs Nationals, or West Coast Nationals. So
is this like a rally? Like one of these,
so
like, we got
5 guys
Gold Rush
that are,
and Gravity and all those others.
It's 5 of his friends that are cruising down to, I can't remember the first show, and then camping their way down.
Oh, that's cool.
So should be a good time. I reached out to him to ask a question that he was probably the only one that I know that would have the answer to it. And he was like, "Hey, what are you doing this day?" And I was like, "I don't really have time to get off of work." And he was like, "Well, see if you can move some stuff around and figure it out." And I said, "Okay." So I talked to Ashley, and she's like, "You would fly back in on Monday, and we would fly back out to Canada on Thursday." And I was like, "Okay, so that's not going to happen." And then we sat down, and like everyone has to do in this car automotive business, you have to think what's going to be better. And
yeah.
I feel like 15 days of driving your shit content is going to be better than 2 days of...
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the road trip story. It's all the stops in between. I mean, and it's probably a route you're not going to have the ability to take again either. Or if you do, it won't be very often.
So it is, let's see, it is 5 vintage rigs, 5 vintage campers, convoy from Montana to Sandpoint, Idaho for the Lost in the 50s, then spend 5 days camping and cruising our way down the Pacific Coast Highway from Tillamook, Oregon through the redwoods down to SoCal.
Oh, wow.
Camp the weekend in San Maria, California for the West Coast Customs Nationals. And he needed a co-pilot.
I mean...
And I was like, well, let's see if we can figure out how I can end up in Plains, Montana.
I mean, that sounds like a pretty epic road trip.
And I might not ever have a chance to do it again.
Right.
So it's like, because a lot of times his daughters will go, or that other podcast we were talking about, the Hometown Hot Rodder. I'm fortunate he's moving into his new shop that week. Mm-hmm. So he can't go. And I'm like, I'm okay with being second, third choice.
It's fine. It's
fine. And also, like, we don't, really awesome. I'd consider him a friend because of the podcast, but like, it's not the everyday conversation.
Right.
So he may not even, until I texted him, which it was just hey, this person would probably know if anyone knows. He was one of the first guests on the podcast, and I think he currently owns 92 cars. He
just a couple.
He no longer buys garages. He just buys enclosed trailers. So when he gets tired of a car and he's like, I don't really want to look at it, he just buys an enclosed trailer and puts a car in it. And then like he'll just cycle them through. So there's like in their little hometown, there's a car show, and it's like 3 blocks, and he hired a guy to help him take like 40 cars. Like, they just bust themselves back and forth to bring 40 cars to this car show, and then just turn around. Yeah, and everything from customs to he's got a Woody. He's building an Econoline. His daughter's got a vintage Ford. He does a lot of Ford stuff. We don't hold that against him, but so what? You said that you're doing a lot of stuff on the with the photography and the business side of that. Mm-hmm. Do you strictly just do car events, or are you...
99% of my work is automotive.
Okay.
And so what's nice is because it's still like, this isn't like my day to day. Like, this isn't my full-time job. Yeah. I've purposely kept it a side gig because I can control when I can say yes and no. I felt like a lot of times with photographers, when they go into like a full-time business with it, you have to say yes to a lot of things that you don't necessarily want to do. Right. No offense to the ladies out there. I've got zero interest in weddings. I was a jeweler in college. I know what it's like dealing with rings. I can only imagine what it's like dealing with the full event. So, but aside from that, I do, it's the extreme polar opposite. I do underwater photography, like underwater portraits. And that's originally what had even gotten me into photography again, was I was talking about my wife needed content for this company she was doing partnerships with. And the gentleman owns and made these like realistic looking mermaid tails. So if you're in Florida, you've heard of places like Weeki Wachee and stuff like that. The company had gotten really, really popular, made it for Hollywood and shows and all these types of things. And she was doing some work for them. And so we had to put it together. So I had to figure out how to make that happen. And that started with a GoPro, and, you know, things begin kind of leveling up. And you know how hobbies begin snowballing.
Yes.
And then that just kind of, again, it got into like at the same time I was still working in automotive, you know, trying to get better here. And that's why I was going to a lot of shows, taking a ton of pictures. I'm one of those, like, I don't know if it's an ADHD thing or whatever, but I'll hyper focus on some things and I'll completely forget about everything else. And so it was the same thing for like the first probably 2 years of photography. It was just, wanted to get better. So I just shot as much as I could. But still no weddings, just cars and underwater stuff. But yeah, so other than that, I mean, it's mostly automotive and with the side little taste of underwater portraiture. Okay.
Well, is there anything that we haven't talked about the company that you'd like to tell people about it? And also shout out all your social medias and all that stuff.
Let's see. So we're, as you know, we've also kind of revamped and gotten our own podcast going again too. So that's been a real fun adventure. Really trying to figure out where we want to take it, what we want to do with it. I know you guys, you know, kind of feel the same way. You start doing things and you're like, well, what's next? Yeah. And we've started doing a lot more commercial work, which is weird because at first I was like, I don't want to do, like, I just want to do this. I just want to do that. And I've been also mentoring several other photographers now because I don't believe in gatekeeping information. I'm one of those, like, if you want to get into photography, you want to learn how to do something and I can help you, I will help. I mean, unless you're a douche and then I won't help you, but
yeah. That's, I feel like photography, and Ashley would agree, like, there's so many, like you said, you just flipped it on auto and took your pictures. Mm-hmm. You know, there's cameras have gotten to where an auto picture takes good pictures. But then you have not only camera settings, but then you could edit a photo that looks like junk 5 minutes ago, and now it looks like I was shot on the, I don't know cameras, but the best camera money could buy, and you know, it's everything's great and the lighting was perfect, where 5 minutes ago it was a black car in the dark, and all of a sudden it comes out to be beautiful. Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell a lot of people, like, if anyone's ever interested in photography, don't get caught up in the gear game. Like, I think it's even similar, like, with car stuff. Like, we all realize, like, in a car build or things like that, we're like, oh, I've got to have the best of the best of this or the best of the best of that. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, it just needs to be done and done right. So, like, there's times where I'll tell, like, the best camera you have is the one you already have. Like, 99% of things is knowing your camera. You know how to edit right. You know how to compose a photo. You know how to properly expose a photo. You don't need a $5,000 body and a $5,000 lens to figure that out. Like, there's a lot of guys and a lot of girls out there who I've seen that have the best of the best, and they're trash.
Well, and that's another thing, is that camera in the right hands. Right. But it's like a golf club. Mm-hmm. I can't swing a golf club. So me going to buy a $2,000 driver is not going to automatically make me Tiger Woods. Right. It's not.
Well, you talk about car builds. Like, we want to talk about body work and sheet metal work. Like, the tools that are involved in that. Oh, like, someone could go out and buy the best of everything in metalworking tools and not know how to use them, and it's going to look like garbage. Yeah. But someone could have a set of hand me down this, and like, they're putting out artwork. So yeah.
Oh, and also the new stuff sometimes isn't better than the old stuff.
True.
Because like I would like to try to find, like, I really, not that I know how to use it, but like I want to find a vintage like Bridgeport mill or English wheel or something.
Yeah, like an
but like I
old
want
English
old
wheel,
stuff.
yeah.
Like I want it to be the piece that like you can pick it up and move it, but
It was probably made around the same time your car was made.
Like you can pick it up and move it once,
right?
But you're off for the next week. Like I want sturdy, and because the barrier of entry, like we had talked about the powder coating stuff, and you know when I first started powder coating, you can make good money, but then. And this is no pun because I started with the Harbor Freight gun to make sure that I was even going to be decent at it.
Right.
And then it was like, it got to the point where I was like, okay, the gun is holding me back. So I went and I ponied up good money for a setup. Well, the guy that's coming to you to get something powder coated sees this guy, oh, well, he'll do it for $20. Okay, well, I'm not firing up my oven for $20.
Right.
More or less shooting any amount of color on your stuff. Like,
right.
Well, why is yours this much money? Okay, well, I have a set of what you're wanting powder coated. I'll powder coat them for me. You get him to powder coat it. We'll sit them next to each other. Mm-hmm. And then you can say, oh, I got the shaft. And then you're going to pay me twice as much because now I got to strip off his crap powder to powder coat them to make them look like these.
Right.
You know, and it's... So sometimes it makes a difference, but if you don't know what you're doing...
People pay for... you pay for the years and the experience.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely. And that's like, even now, like I'll have people come up and they're like, well, how much is a shoot? And I tell them, and they kind of look at me. I'm like, I don't get out of bed for less than that, buddy.
Yeah.
Like this, again, it's my side gig, so it's nice I can say no. But I will say that, so like being a car guy, but also being a photographer that goes to a lot of shows... If you're a car person yourself and you're at shows, support your local photographers.
Oh, definitely.
Whether it's just sharing a photo, you know, or if somebody's charging $10 and you like the photo, like support your local photographers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where I'll tell people like you go to shows to learn how to shoot. You're not going to make money at shows, but it's nice when you do have the support of the community that you're going to shoot.
Well, and there's no, like you said, you don't gatekeep. There's no competition at the top. Like there's room for 5 photographers to come to the same show.
Right.
Because none of y'all are going to take the same pictures.
Absolutely not. No.
You know, because some people like the lay on the ground and take that shot. And some people are just like, oh, no, I'm good. I like the 3/4 shot. There's so many. And then also the editing process. Mm-hmm. You know, that was when we were... a good example of this is when we were doing our logo for the show, for the hangout, and Johnny Jalopy, I was like, hey, I want you to do a logo. What do you want? I'm like, my Model A. He's like, okay, cool. How do you want it? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I want you to draw me a logo because I'm coming to Johnny Jalopy for a Johnny Jalopy design. I don't want you to draw me a logo.
Right.
Like the tattoo artist. Mm-hmm. I want your style on me. That's why I'm coming to you.
I'm coming to you for your work. Right.
I don't want you to duplicate somebody else. And yes, I want, obviously don't go to Ken Diggett and ask him to put 15s on your car.
Right.
It's not going to happen, or don't go to Martin Brothers and ask them for a small block Chevrolet. Mm-hmm. You're not getting it. It's going to have an LS or a Coyote motor in it. That's what they do. So you kind of got to, if you find somebody that you like, stick with them. Mm-hmm. And that like or the share or telling your buddies that are looking for a photographer or they're going on a road trip and they need something to listen to. Hey, Matt and Ashley like bullshit for an hour every week.
Right. Yeah. You kill an hour of your drive with this.
Like,
yeah. Absolutely.
And not saying that my voice it won't put you to sleep, but not, and again, I learned something new, and that's kind of how I try to approach everything is I'll stand there and talk to somebody about something I completely don't know just to get a spark of knowledge that down the road I may use, or there's so many people that just write people off because they're not the same as them. There's so much room, and YouTube, people, you got to have 18 GoPros and you got to have everything mounted and Insta 360s. And then you got Cletus McFarland that shoots 90% of his content on an iPhone with 50 million subscribers. Mm-hmm. And it's like, do you really need? And granted, he has a GoPro mounted in everything and GoPro's mounted on his helmet and stuff like that. But majority of the content he still shoots. Yeah. If you look, like, that's an iPhone. Mm-hmm. And not saying that iPhone is better than Android, but it is. But like, if you take a video and I'm like, oh, that's a cool video, airdrop it to me. You don't have to even have my number.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I can get that now. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you take a 30-minute video, well, email that to me, please. Let
me put it into a Google
never
Drive
be in
folder,
because it's
Dropbox.
never going to be textable.
Yeah.
So airdrop it. And 2 minutes later, I got it on my phone, and now I can do what I need to do with it. It's not so reliant. It makes it a little easier for like a tag team. While me and Ashley at our show, if she takes a video, mm-hmm. we can both airdrop it to the iPad and edit it. Or whatever, or, oh, I really like that. I need to put it in the podcast.
Right. Well, it makes it super easy for like content creation on the fly.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, hey, you forgot to do an intro. I'm at work. Okay, cool. Do an intro real quick. Mm-hmm. And as long as I can get close to my iPad and airdrop it to my iPad, it shows up on hers too.
Yep.
So that, and it's like, it just makes it a lot easier, and you don't have to have, our GoPro sucks. I hate our GoPro. We're trying to figure out why it is. It's lost its mind in the last like 6 months.
It's doing things it shouldn't.
It used to speed up and slow down by itself. So like we went to, it was almost a year ago now, but we went to Moultrie and I just stuck it on my hat and walked the car show, walked the swap meet. And I'm like speeding up, slow down, speed. It would go to hyperdrive for like 10 minutes. And then it would go to super slow-mo for like 5 minutes. And then it'd go back regular. And then we updated it. And I was talking to somebody up there, and they're like, oh, you got to get the media kit for it. Mm-hmm. And now it overheats in like 5 minutes.
Wow.
And so we're going to do a test tomorrow and we're going to record it and then put it in take it out of the media and see if it actually makes a difference in the voice. And if it doesn't, it's coming back out of that thing, because one makes batteries impossible to change.
Yeah, you have to take it out of the cage.
And it's like, and we don't really, we have mics. Like, we have the little clip-on lapel mics.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're even really using it, other than I can't stare at a tripod and talk, so I have to carry it. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I never really use the audio from the GoPro. It's from our mics.
Yes.
So it's not even like I'm really using the media kit or whatever, that cage. So it's like, is it even really worth the struggle?
Probably not.
So
like, unless you need it and you're utilizing it.
Yeah. And
no.
And it's good for like at shows or stuff. But then if that's the only time it gets used, but then it overheats.
Well, but that goes back to like accumulating gear over time.
That you don't,
that like I've probably have an embarrassing amount of gear that sits on a shelf that I used once or twice and realized I'm not going to use it.
Yeah.
So yeah, use what you have until you max out its potential, and then upgrade
if necessary. Yeah. And I fall into that even with, the car stuff, like, oh, the latest and greatest, or that cool little piece.
Yeah.
It's not really necessary, but like, you get it because, I'm official.
Yeah. Well, like, I get caught up all the time looking at either like period correct parts for the VW or the Toyota. Like, oh, there was this rare option that came from Toyota for like an all-weather mat for the trunk, and it's stamped Toyota, and that's the way it should be. And I'm like, no. Like,
well, and also like if you're hunting like correct original parts, like the emblem on the hood of Ashley's car, and she's like, oh, we could get a better example of that. And then she looked it up, and she's like, no, that one's fine.
Yeah,
because it's like,
The difference between near mint and mint.
It's like $400 or $500, and you're like, it's still pitted because it's still 70 years old. Mm-hmm. Like, there isn't a nice shiny chrome one out there that somebody hasn't re-chromed. So, like,
right.
I could probably take it off and send it to go get re-chromed for less than you can buy this less patina. And I'm like, well, if you put a shiny one on the hood of that car, you're kind of like, it's the rest of the car's patina. So now it's like,
well, like, oh, well, now I need to fix this. Yeah. Now I need to make this better. Yeah, chasing perfection will get expensive very quickly.
Well, and shiny paint causes me stress even on other people's cars. So it's like I joke, that car's been washed like 5 times. We've owned it for 2 years.
We've got a
3 or 4 of those times was because we did the protectant on it, and it had to be washed
prior
with an SOS pad before it got done. So that's majority of the time was just that, because it is what it is. Mm-hmm. That car doesn't have wipers. It has a shit ton of Rain-X on the windshield. It gets driven. Oh, since I broke my foot, not, but it used to get driven a couple times a week to work. Hey, we're going to dinner. Hey, we're, just, I got to hop over somewhere quick. Or going to mom and dad's. They live 15 minutes down the road. Okay, cool. We'll just take a car. Unless I need the truck.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
It's like, one, parking lots are not designed. No.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to find a parking spot for that excursion gets a little difficult.
We have locations that's like, 'cause we live over in Crystal River.
Yeah.
And we know if we're either going to dinner at certain spots, like,
we're not trying to take it.
We have to take the Mini Cooper. We're not taking the excursion because it just won't fit.
So what is one piece of advice you would give someone trying to get into the car culture, whether it's cars in general or the photography side?
Cars in general, actually, so I think the advice would be the same for both, is you just need to get out. Like, there's plenty of meetups and parking lots. There's plenty of races. There's plenty of car shows. And if you're wanting to get into one or the other, just go. Like, you have to go out. You have to meet people. You have to shake some hands, kiss some babies, all that good stuff. The good old political answer of networking. Like, networking. And if you want to become a professional automotive photographer, networking is 100% part of the deal. Yes. We all know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's in photography. And I think that even kind of in a way even levels up into like the car world. If you're wanting to get involved with either car shows, other organizations like the Concours I've been to, or the auction houses and things like that, you have to get to know people, So get out there, just do it as much as you can. And if you feel yourself starting to get burned out on it, pull back a little bit. But you may find if you're getting really burned out on something, that just a lot of times tells me you just need to take another angle at it and just look at it with a fresh set of eyes.
That's very good. So before we give our dates, what are the dates for the Citrus Cars and Coffee? Citrus Cars and Coffee
is the last Sunday of every month. So technically, day of recording with this on a Saturday, it will actually be tomorrow. But looking at the weather, it may not be tomorrow. But typically 9 times out of 10, last Sunday of every month at Citrus Cars and Coffee.
All right. Are y'all going to the Spring Fling over in Inglis next weekend?
We've got it on the list to attend. I think it's really one of the only things I really use Facebook for anymore is event planning. I'll hit interested to a ton of things just to make sure it stays on my radar. And then as long as we don't have anything major going on either at the house, with family, or anything else going on, we typically use that to fill in time. Yeah.
This will be posted after the fact, but we were there Saturday. Y'all should have come and bought some merch. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for having us out. Really enjoyed it.
Whenever we post this, we'll make sure we tag everything. And plug your social medias one more time.
Oh, okay. Yep. So finding us. So I've got the weird, funny French last name, so I'll spell it out for you. You can go to MikeRioux.com. That's RIOUX. You can find me on Instagram at the Mike Rioux. And those are kind of be our most places you can find us.
All righty. Well, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, bud. So we don't really have any dates to go over until my epic road trip.
Yep.
We do have dogs, though. So, till next time, guys, make sure you go show Why Not Fab on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok some love.
And check out Throttle Addict using code word HOTROD for 15% off.
Make sure you go show Johnny Jalopy some love. Facebook, YouTube, JohnnyJalopy.com.
And go take a look at Low Income Clothing, photos, Brownival Media, Father Son on Facebook and Instagram.
And make sure you show Wrenchins for some... And make sure that you go check out Wrenchin' for the Future on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
And be sure to visit Ty Blends from Top Notch Barber Studio, and you can see his work on Instagram or book an appointment with TyBlend1Booksy.com.
Oh, and I told a little bit of a story. If you are at the benefit tomorrow in Oxford, we will have limited merch. Till next time, guys, get out, drive a shit.
See ya.
Later.